See, and somebody said I was coming here to play a little basketball, I guess. All right, what a huge turnout, and thank you so much for being here. Let me begin by thanking Osmati for their music, Danny Andalon for his remarks, Elizabeth Alcantar for her remarks, Gloria Martinez, who is the UTLA's Board of Directors for East Area. And by the way, I want to thank the United Teachers of Los Angeles for their endorsement. I want to thank them for standing up for the kids of this state. And I'm so proud to have their endorsement, to have the endorsement of the nurses in this state. The National Nurses United, one of the great unions in America. Let me thank Alex Perez-Gaytan for his remarks. And let me thank Philip Agnew for his introduction. You know, Philip has been running all over this country doing some of the most important work, and that is bringing young people into the political process. Philip, thanks for what you're doing. You know, I am asked every day how we are going to defeat the worst president in the history of this country. And I will tell you exactly how we're going to do it. Trump believes that his political future lies in dividing the American people up based on the color of our skin, based on where we were born, based on our religion or our sexual orientation. We believe exactly the opposite. And we're going to win this election because we are bringing the American people together, black and white and Latino, Native American, Asian American, gay and straight, native-born and immigrants. And we are bringing our people together around an agenda that works for all of us, not just a handful of billionaires. See, I come from Vermont. We're not used to this sun. And here is, to my mind, as we engage in this campaign, we have two fundamental goals. Number one, and I'm not going to waste a lot of time on it, we're going to defeat Trump. End of discussion. You know, we got a president who is not only a pathological liar, not only running the most corrupt administration in modern American history, but he is a racist, a sexist, a xenophobe, a homophobe. And people like him do not belong in the White House. But our job is not just to defeat Trump. As you have heard, what we are about is a political revolution. We believe that this campaign is about us, not me. It is about millions of people from all walks of life coming together to create an economy, a government, an energy system that works for all of us, not just the 1%. And at the top of our agenda is we're going to end the racism and the divisiveness and the xenophobia of this administration. I come to you today as the proud son of an immigrant. And virtually everybody out here are the proud sons and daughters of immigrants. And we are sick and tired of the demonization of the immigrant community. And that is why on day one, through executive order, we're going to restore the legal status of the 1.8 million young people and their parents eligible for DACA. And that is why we're going to do what the American people want and move forward to comprehensive immigration reform and a path towards citizenship for 11 million undocumented. And that is why we are going to end this barbaric southern border policy which tears babies from the arms of their mothers. We do not believe that a mom who travels 1,500 miles with a baby is a criminal, and she will be treated with the justice and dignity she deserves. All of you know that real change in this country has never taken place from the top on down. It has always taken place from the bottom on up. That's the history of the labor movement. It is the history of the civil rights movement. It is the history of the women's movement. It is the history of the gay rights movement. It is the history of the environmental movement. Real change takes place when millions of people look around them and say that the status quo is no longer working. We have got to, together, move toward justice. This is a justice campaign. Economic justice, racial justice, social justice, environmental justice. And when we look about us, we understand that there is something profoundly wrong when so few have so much and so many have so little. There is something grotesquely immoral about 3 people owning more wealth than the bottom half of America, when tonight 500,000 Americans will be sleeping out on the streets. So we are about changing in a very fundamental way the priorities of this country. Now, I know you see on TV the billionaire class getting a little bit nervous. You know, they know we're standing up to their greed and their corruption. And literally, they're already figuring out what they're going to do. Are they going to leave the country? Are they going to get divorced? What are they going to do to protect their billions? But what we say to them is that we will no longer accept having more wealth and income inequality in America today than at any time since the 1920s. We say to the billionaire class, whether you like it or not, you're going to start paying your fair share of taxes. And when we talk about an agenda that works for working people, it is not complicated. You all know what it is. It is that if you work 40 hours a week, you don't live in poverty. And that means we are going to raise that minimum wage nationally to at least $15 an hour. We're going to end the absurdity of women making 80 cents on the dollar compared to men. Equal pay for equal work. And brothers and sisters, We're going to make it easier for workers to join unions. We have legislation in that will double the number of workers in unions, and that is what we're going to do. We're going to create millions of good-paying jobs, rebuilding our crumbling infrastructure. And that is not just roads and bridges, it's schools. It is building the millions of units of affordable housing this country desperately needs. Right now in California and all over this country, you got a whole lot of folks who, when they turn on their water faucets, the water that comes out is toxic. That is not what America is about. People are entitled to clean water, and we're going to make that happen. And when we talk about education, we're talking about a revolution in the way we do education. Everybody here knows that the most important years of intellectual and emotional development for children are 0 through 4. 0 through 4, yet we have a child care and a pre-K system that is dysfunctional. We believe that every working class family in America deserves to know that their kids are going to high quality, affordable, universal child care. And we are going to create the best public education system in the world. We're going to triple funding for Title I schools. We're going to fund disability programs so that all of our kids have an equal opportunity. And we want the best and the brightest to go into teaching, because we respect teachers and will make sure that every teacher in America earns at least $60,000 a year. And because we believe in human rights, we believe that everybody, regardless of their income, has the right to get a higher education. And that is why we're going to make all public colleges and universities in this country tuition-free. And it's not just college. Many young people want to go to a training school to become an electrician, a plumber, a carpenter. We need those workers. They're entitled to get that training as well. And I'll tell you something else that we're going to do, because we look at the world a little bit different than many establishment politicians. And we believe that if the United States Congress could bail out the crooks on Wall Street 11 years ago, if a couple of years ago Trump and his cronies could give $1 trillion in tax breaks to the top 1% and large corporations, we're going to cancel all student debt in America. And we're going to do that. We're going to do that by imposing a modest tax on Wall Street speculation. And I'll tell you something else that we're going to fight for, and that is to end the international embarrassment of this great country of ours being the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to all people as a human right. So today I tell you that on our first week in office, we are going to introduce Medicare for all, single-payer legislation. And we are going to take on the greed of the insurance companies, which charge us twice as much per person in health care as do the people of any other country. That's going to end. And we're going to take on the incredible greed and corruption of the drug companies in this country. They're no longer going to charge our people, in some cases, 10 times more for the same medicine sold in Canada or in other countries. And our Medicare for All proposal means no more premiums, no more co-payments, no more deductibles, no more out-of-pocket expenses. It means when you get sick, you go to the doctor you want to, you go to the hospital you want to, you don't take out your wallet or your credit card. That is what a civilized healthcare system is about in a democratic society. Now, obviously, the insurance companies and the drug companies and the Republicans and many of my Democratic colleagues, they don't like this. They don't like it because they're scared of the power of the insurance companies and the drug companies. They know, and you know, that last year the healthcare industry made $100 billion in profits, while many of you are uninsured or underinsured, and 500,000 Americans went bankrupt because of medical debt. So together, we say today to the insurance companies and the drug companies, take it on, bring it on. We are not intimidated by you. And when the American people stand up and understand and demand that health care is a human right, not a privilege, we will have Medicare for all. Now, we got a president who is someone I disagree with on everything. That goes without saying, but I'll tell you something, where Trump is a danger not only to our country, but to the world, and that is his ignorance and his refusal to acknowledge the reality of climate change. So let me be very straight with you guys. Climate change is not only real, of course it's real, it is not only caused by the emission of carbon and human activity, of course it is. It is not only causing massive damage here in California and all over the world, but what the scientists are telling us is they underestimated the severity and the speed in which climate change is ravaging this planet. So today we say, and this is a huge issue, we are talking about the future of the planet. We are talking about rising sea levels that will flood major cities in the United States. Right now, Venice, Italy is underwater. Right now, Australia is burning. God only knows, you know, what the drought and wildfires have done to California. Right now, all over the world, there are people leaving their communities because of drought and because of flood. The UN estimates over 100 million people will be climate refugees. So today we say to the fossil fuel industry and their apologists in Washington, we say we are going to take on the fossil fuel industry, that the future of this planet is more important than the short-term profits of the oil companies and the coal companies and the gas companies. And I am so proud because this issue is so consequential, not just for us, but for our kids and our grandchildren. I am proud to be working with great people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and many others on a Green New Deal. And what this does is transforms our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency and sustainable energy. It's going to retrofit older buildings all over this country, revolutionize transportation, and invest very significantly in wind, solar, and other sustainable energies. And when we do that, we're going to create up to 20 million good-paying jobs. So this is an issue that we all need to be engaged in. We are fighting for the planet. We are fighting to make sure that the world that our children and our grandchildren live in is a healthy and habitable world. And brothers and sisters, when we talk about a progressive agenda, we are talking about ending a broken and racist criminal justice system. I am sick and tired of seeing in this country more people in jail than any other country on earth, including communist China. So what we are going to do is invest in our young people in jobs and education, not more jails and incarceration. We are going to end private prisons and detention centers. And we are going to end the destructive war on drugs. We're going to legalize marijuana in every state in this country. And we are going to expunge the records of those who are arrested for possession of marijuana. And what we're also going to do is not allow a handful of corporations to control the marijuana industry. We're going to help those communities, mostly African American and Latino, who have been hit hardest by the war on drugs, to profit when marijuana becomes legal all over this country. I don't have to tell anybody here, because we've just seen it the other day. Another example of horrific gun violence in this country. And it sickens me and you to know that every week, every day, people are getting shot down and killed. And it upsets me immensely to know that in schools like this, kids are undergoing drills and are scared to death that when they walk into a school, something terrible might happen. So here's my promise to you. Gun policy under our administration will not be determined by the NRA. Gun policy will be determined by the American people, and they want to, in so many ways, make certain that people who should not own guns do not own guns. That we end the gun show loophole. That we end the so-called straw man provision. That we finally end the sale and distribution of assault weapons in this country. And brothers and sisters, when we talk about a progressive agenda, we are talking about the right of women to control their own bodies. I am sick and tired of hearing so-called conservatives who tell us they want to get the government off the backs of the American people, that they believe in small government, but somehow they believe that politicians have the right to tell every woman in this country what she can do with her body. And we're going to end that. And men, now is the time to stand with the women of this country. And here's a promise. No nominee of mine to the U.S. Supreme Court will not be 100% supportive of Roe v. Wade. We are living, as all of you know, in an unprecedented moment in American history and, in fact, in world history. And it's not just Trump and his lies and his corruption. It goes deeper than that. It goes to the fact that this country is moving toward an oligarchic form of society, where a handful of billionaires control the economic and political life of this nation, where billionaires today are contributing hundreds of millions of dollars to the candidates who will make them even richer. So what our campaign is about is creating a democracy built on one person, one vote, not billionaires buying elections, which is why we're going to overturn Citizens United and move to public funding of elections. Our campaign is about creating an economy that works for all of us, a government that stands with the working class of this country, a working class that I proudly came from and that you come from. And we are sick and tired of seeing almost all new income and wealth going to the people who need it the least. What this campaign is about ultimately is a political revolution. And what that means is an understanding that no one person, not me or anybody else, can do it alone. I wish I could tell you, elect me president, I'm going to do it all. It doesn't work that way. We are taking on Wall Street. We are taking on the insurance industry. We're taking on the pharmaceutical industry. We're taking on the fossil fuel industry. We're taking on the military-industrial complex. We're taking on the prison-industrial complex. We are taking on the whole damn 1%. And I can't do it alone. The way that change takes place is when all of us stand up together. So I'm here this afternoon. Yes, I'm here to ask for your help to make sure that we win the Democratic primary in California. I am asking for your help to make sure. I am asking for your help to enable me to win the Democratic nomination. And I am certainly here to ask for your help to defeat the worst president in American history. But I am here today to ask even more of you. And that is that the day that we are inaugurated, we're going to roll up our sleeves together. We're going to end the racism and the divisiveness in this country. And together we are going to pass an agenda that speaks to the needs of the children and the vulnerable and the elderly, the people who have no voice, that speaks to the needs of the working families and the middle class of this country, that speaks to the needs of the elderly in this country. So today, what I'm asking you as part of the political revolution, the need to rethink politics, what we have got to do is reach out to our friends, our co-workers, our fellow students, and tell them we're sick and tired of their moaning and groaning and complaining. If they're tired of earning low wages, they got to get involved in the political process. If they're tired of not having any health care, got to get involved in the political process. If they can't afford to go to school or leave school deeply in debt, they got to get involved in the political process. And if they're scared of climate change, they got to get involved in the political process. This campaign, both the primary and the general election, will be dependent upon one thing, and that is voter turnout. That's about it, nothing more. Don't worry about polls, anything else. It's all voter turnout. And our job is to reach out to our friends and our neighbors and to have the largest voter turnout in the history of this country. And when we do that, when we involve our brothers and sisters in the political process, not only will we defeat Trump, we're going to transform this country and create a government based on the principles of love, compassion, and justice. Thank you all very much.